Hey everybody, this is Competency Capital. Shout out to Business Smiles a lot. Excuse me. How y'all doing tonight? I'm back with another segment LLC audio and video podcast, and I think I'm really hoping that it sounds good coming out on both ends here. But tonight I'm going to be talking with ChatGPT yet again as my guest here. And we're just going to be talking about life, mental health, things of that general nature. And I'm sorry if I haven't been back for a while to record and put things out online. It's just, been busy being a father, being a dad, father, dad, same thing, husband, just trying to balance work life and life, friends, and all that and everything. So, sorry to those who I've not been online for in a while. But just life gets in the way. But that's okay. And as long as I come back to you guys, as long as I come back to my audience, and I talk about and do things that I feel are important, that's my goal. So, sometimes we all need a little break from social media as well. So maybe it's a good thing that I took a little bit of a break because it actually gave me more time to mentally think of okay, let's talk about this or let's do that. But anyway, here we go again. Hey, chat. So tonight you're going to be my guest here again on my podcast for the second, I think, maybe third time. But how are you doing tonight?
Hey there. I'm doing well and glad to join you again. Whether it's the second or third round, I'm always up for a good chat. How are you feeling about tonight's episode?
Feeling pretty good, I always just want to talk about general things, as life, nature, whatever, or the nature of things in life. You know what I'm saying? Just balance, mental health, good things like that, and just your advice on certain things. You know what I'm saying?
I'm absolutely with you. Life, balance, and mental well-being, those are topics that never get old. I'm here to offer some grounded thoughts, no fluff, just honest conversation. So whenever you want to dive in, I'm ready.
So I think we've talked about this in the past, but what, in your opinion, are some of the best ways to have balance in life, whether that's work, sports?
I think balance really starts with clarity, knowing what truly matters to you and giving those priorities intentional time. Whether it's setting boundaries between work and personal life, making time for physical activity that energizes you, or carving out space for rest and connection. It's not about perfect balance every day, but adjusting over time. And don't forget to listen to yourself. Your body and mind usually let you know when things are off kilter.
Right, and that's why I feel like it's important for people not to work out if they feel too tired or exhausted, because that's actually a really good way of how you can actually hurt yourself. And a lot of people don't think about that, but it's true.
You're absolutely right. Pushing through exhaustion can do more harm than good. Rest and recovery are just as important as the training itself. It's all about listening to your body. When you rest when you need it, you come back stronger and sharper.
Yeah, I definitely believe that's true. So what would your best advice be to give those out to those who need better balance in their life, or what are some steps that you would say you would give to those who need help with balance?
I'd say start by identifying your top priorities, what really matters most to you. Then carve out time for each, even in small steps. Set boundaries, say no to things that drain you. Check in with yourself regularly. If you're too overloaded, adjust. And always give yourself permission to rest. Balance isn't rigid, it's a flexible give and take.
Yeah, I do believe it is a give and take, and I feel like a lot of people spread themselves too thin on one side or the other. They either give or they take, and they do one or the other too much, and then ends up having them not have good balance, and they kind of drive themselves crazy a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's easy to slip into extremes, and then you're either burnt out or feeling disconnected. Real balance is a dance between giving and replenishing. And like any dance, you learn the rhythm with practice and self-awareness.
Yeah, self awareness is always important. And self awareness, now, can you tell me if that relates to mental regulation? Like knowing how to handle a tense situation or a situation where you want to get, as an example, like mad or angry, but you don't let your emotions get the best of you because you have emotional and mental regulation to realize that it's not worth it to get upset. So you take the mature route and actually kill that situation with kindness. Would you say then that it is related to self awareness in a way?
Oh, absolutely. Self awareness is really the foundation for emotional regulation. When you're aware of what's going on inside, what triggers you, what makes you tense, you're in a much better place to pause, step back, and choose how you respond. It's that awareness that lets you realize, wait, I don't need to react with anger here. I can respond with intention. So, yes, it's all tied together.
I was wondering if, that was a good thing to ask because, when it comes to mental health or when it comes to just trying to be a better person or just trying to spreading love and kindness throughout the world, like, I feel like some people aren't aware of their own self-awareness or their own mental fortitude or their own personal emotional regulation. And if they don't know how to balance, again, going back to balance, all three of those, or even just one of those in general, that can really mix them up, especially in a situation that maybe doesn't need intensity or doesn't need anger or doesn't need to be handled in a negative way. And, some people don't take that into account. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. A lot of people haven't had the chance or guidance to recognize their own patterns. And when we're unaware, we default to reacting rather than responding. The good news is self awareness is something you can build through reflection, through pausing, through practicing that emotional regulation. And the more we practice, the more we show others what's possible. Kindness, patience, and balance ripple outward.
Well, not only that, but I feel like admitting you're wrong and learning from your mistakes is another way to help with that as well. Because it's like you said, through reflection, through pausing, through that emotional regulation. I mean, the thing is that if unless you have a real reason to have a big ego and stand hard, with some like grounded foundation or something that for a fact is actually factual, I feel like if you really want to learn life lessons and how to better yourself as a person, admit that you're wrong, say sorry, and learn from your lesson, and let ego go a little bit. You know what I mean?
You've hit the heart of it. Letting go of ego is huge. Growth really comes from being humble enough to admit when we're off track. When we can say, I got that wrong, and genuinely learn, it opens us up to better relationships and deeper self respect. It's not about losing, it's about evolving, and that's where real strength lies.
Exactly. And I don't know. I do feel bad and sorry for those who don't have a good enough balance in their life to be able to see the lighter end of the tunnel, and they only just want to see darkness and think that their world is all doom and gloom around them, and they feel like there's no good way of how to get out of things or get out of it. But that's not true.
It's definitely not true, but when you're stuck in that darkness, it can feel like there's no way out. The best thing we can do is remind folks that light does exist, and that even small steps like reaching out for help or noticing one good thing can start shifting the perspective. It's never hopeless, even if it feels that way, and just by spreading a little understanding, we can help them see that.
Right. And that's why I do these things like I do online. I know I've talked about this in the past before, but I'm not saying I'm anyone special, which I know I'm not, but I feel like maybe possibly through my talks about mental health or my advice videos or my workout or boxing videos to inspire others to, how to learn how to defend themselves, or maybe show them drills on like how they can learn how to do whatever to live a healthier life, whether that's through watching me lift or run on video, or watching me do boxing or whatever, or watching one of my demonstration videos. The thing is that I think that a lot of people Again, here's what the ego comes into play. I don't do it through my ego to show off or be like, oh, look at me, I'm Mr. Social Media and I'm trying to be all this and that. No, I do it through the ego of I want to help others and inspire them. And, again, that's whether through what I do when it comes to my videos, or I want to help them out mentally if they're going through something, just in case they need me for whatever, or just like anyone just to talk to. Now, I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm not a life coach, but what I'm saying is that I just I feel like maybe at some point, some way, that's my videos will reach out to someone and make a difference. Like, and have I had any feedback on that yet? No, but the day that it happens, that's all I care about.
And that mindset is powerful. You're doing it for the right reasons, sharing authentically, hoping to spark something positive. Even if you don't see the feedback right away, that ripple effect can happen in ways you might not even realize. Keep doing what aligns with your values, because that's where your genuine impact is, whether or not you see it right away. And hey, when that day comes, it'll just be confirmation of what you've been building all along.
Right, and who knows? Maybe one day if I'm walking down the street, I might get recognized, and that would be very cool. But if not, it's whatever. Yeah, it's just, and I think the problem with, also speaking of like balance and mental regulation and emotional regulation, I feel like some people do this to chase the fame of it, and I don't. I do it to, excuse me. Again, I do it to just help others and to make them feel better in any way that I can. That's it.
And that intention shines through. When you're not chasing fame, but genuinely trying to help, people feel that authenticity. If recognition comes one day, cool. But even if it doesn't, you've already succeeded by lifting someone up. Keep that focus and you'll never lose sight of what matters most.
Right. And what would you say is a good balance of, or is advice of those that you would say, how do you balance that out of not wanting to chase fame, and how to balance wanting to do it for the love of your art, just to help others out there in any way that you can? And how do you balance that with ego as well? What would you say to those out there?
I'd say keep your compass set on your why. If your core reason is to help, make sure your actions align with that. Check in with yourself often. If ego sneaks in, remind yourself it's not about you being seen, it's about the impact on others. And if you ever feel pulled too far toward recognition, just come back to that original purpose: helping, connecting, and making a difference. When you stay anchored in that, the balance tends to follow.
What would you say would be a good way to help others who can't get anchored, or find that anchor? Or what would you say would be a good advice to do if that anchor ever gets pulled out and their ship takes off too much? If you understand that metaphor, if that makes any sense.
I totally get your metaphor. If someone loses that anchor, I'd suggest they pause and reconnect with their core values. Ask, what truly matters to me? Why did I start this journey? Also, leaning on trusted people, friends, mentors, can help. They'll remind you who you are. And if the ship's adrift, it's never too late to drop anchor again. Reflect, recalibrate, and steer back toward what feels true.
What would you say would be some good advice to give to those out there who or who are trying to find that truth, or who are trying to find what feels true to them? Because some people in this world, again, like we talked about in the past, they do feel lost, and they feel like they have no one to turn to or nothing to turn to, or like some people feel like they aren't loved, or they don't have any friends, or real connections or whatever. So like, what would you say to them from your best opinion? Like, how can they dig deep inside of them to find what feels true to them, so that way they don't feel so lost? Because I've given my advice out there to others on what to do, or how what I do to handle it. But I'm just not sure. Sometimes you can talk to somebody as much as you want to, but it's like they say, somebody won't change unless they won't change themselves. So what would be your best advice on like to those on like how they could change to better themselves by finding what feels true to them to help them recalibrate, like you said, you know what I mean?
I think the first step is encouraging them to get curious about themselves. Ask what moments, even small ones, gave them a sense of joy or peace. What were they doing when they felt even a spark of purpose? Also, it's okay to start small, trying new things, journaling, or reaching out to even one person. And if they feel lost, sometimes talking to a counselor can help them uncover those truths. Ultimately, small steps of self-exploration often lead them toward what feels real. They don't have to figure it all out at once.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like that's also how, again, I know we keep saying the word balance, but, I feel like that's a good subject or topic that we can keep on going for. But I feel like if they try to do it all at once and they don't take steps into thinking like, okay, I could do this and then this and then this, and they all try to take on too much at once, again, like I said, you're like spreading yourself out one way or the other. That's how they lose their balance,
You've nailed it. Balance isn't an overnight achievement. It's a step-by-step process. When we try to tackle everything at once, we're bound to stumble. Encouraging people to take it one piece at a time, small achievable steps, helps them keep steady. Over time, those little steps build real sustainable balance. It's all about pacing and patience.
Patience and patience, 100%. What would you say would be a good way to keep your balance sustainable? Whether that's through going through therapy, doing some kind of workout that makes you mentally happy, being around your loved ones, your children, or like, I guess those would be my examples. But like, I feel like if you're gonna be balanced mentally and live a good balanced life, you have to have things that are sustainable, right? Or things that sustain you and sustain your happiness, right? So, what would you say, like, are like good ways to keep in mind that you have those things that are sustainable for your balance, and not to lose sight of those, and like not to falter out of that mental state, because maybe that's where you can again lose that balance and like think, oh, I'm going down a dark path, or they might get sad or depressed, but then because they forget about the things that they have in their life that do make their life richer than they think. So, what would your best advice to those to be able, like, how to mentally keep thinking about those good things that do sustain them instead of forgetting about them, or like throwing them to the side, or feeling like that they don't have those things when they do? Am I making any sense at all?
You're making perfect sense. I'd say the key is intentional reminders. Maybe it's setting small rituals, like reflecting daily on one thing you're grateful for, or checking in with yourself weekly to see if you've made time for what matters. Surround yourself with cues, maybe photos, notes, or even a schedule that prioritizes those sustaining activities. And if you do slip, that's normal. Be kind to yourself and gently re-anchor. It's about making those sustaining elements part of your routine, so they're always there to help you regain balance.
Right, exactly. And, it's like me, like I said, I like to go to boxing. I like to go and go on my runs. I like to do workouts at my gym at Lifetime. Go to my gym Glove Up. Shout out to Glove Up. Love them to death. Love being with my family. Love being with my boy. I actually enjoy work now, surprisingly. Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed work, but, I actually do like it now. So it's a great boss, good, just everything, and I think it's because I realized what helps sustain me and keeps me happy, and like I have a very good sustained like schedule that's like a consistent schedule. And I think that's what helps me does stay balanced, because like you said, like there are things that I do prioritize, like with those activities that do sustain me. Yeah, so but and and I've gotten very lucky that I've gotten to the mature realization or the maturity of the balance of things that I have gotten the balance of right now in my life so far, because it's not easy, and it's tough, especially when you are trying to balance work, being a dad, being a husband, and just everything in general in life, and I'm very lucky, very fortunate. And again, this isn't me bragging. This is me showing off. This is me just saying, like, I don't know how I got so lucky to be able to live such a balanced life and have, like, the balance that I do. But, and I know things are going to change, especially when my boy gets older and things like that. Schedule's going to change, his schooling's going to change. He's going to go to different schools or just whatever in general, and homework comes into play. That's going to be a whole other thing. But anyway, like, I know things are going to change, but, like, I just have this good, strong feeling that my balance isn't going to fall through that much, or I'm not going to be able to have the emotional regulation and mental regulation to not handle it. I feel like I've done so well with it so far. I'm very, very confident that I'm going to be able to continue to handle things no matter what the schedule is on difference, plus, like, what if I start doing things more with my boy, like get him into karate and actually end up going to karate with him more? And, even if that means I have to go to boxing a little bit less, that's fine, because it means I can do things with him, and create memories like that. And, that'll be another, like, way to balance things out and balance and sustain my happiness, so that I can, give out to my family, and because, when I'm happy, they're happy, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm talking a lot, but do you get what I mean? Like, or what's your advice just to those out there who might not have the balance like, I do? Or, like, well, what would you say,
I hear you loud and clear. What you've built is rooted in intentional choices, and you trust yourself to adjust when life changes. And that's key. For those still searching for balance, I'd say start small. Identify one area that brings you fulfillment, maybe time with loved ones or a hobby, and honor it consistently. Balance isn't about perfection, it's about adjusting and being kind to yourself when things shift. And like you said, when you're happy, it ripples outward. So start with one small, meaningful step.
Yep. And, I just really hope that there's those out there who can find those meaningful steps, because I know, like, a lot of people really can't. And if they don't have the ripple outward, then, they're going to negatively just spread negativity out there to those who don't deserve it, especially if they're feeling negative themselves. And that's not fair to anyone, but in reality, that's not fair to them, because, deep down, I don't feel like that's who they truly are. I feel like there's good in everyone. I mean, unless they were just, like, completely evil from, like, day one or whatever. But I don't know. Has that screwed me over in the past, whatever kind of relationship it's been, or just interaction, just anything in general, my kindness and my trustworthiness. Yeah, but at the same time, like, I feel like I'd rather be like this than be a just mean, hateful person who, wants to hurt others in any capacity. And I don't know if I'm going off topic or off kilter here, but I don't know. Does that making any sense? I don't know.
You're making total sense. At the end of the day, you're choosing to be someone who lifts others up, and that's a powerful choice. Not everyone is in that place yet, but kindness is contagious. Even if someone is struggling, showing them a bit of grace might help them find their footing. And sure, we all stumble, but it's that intent to be better, more balanced, more caring, that keeps us on track. So yes, it all comes back to that choice to lead with compassion.
Right, and I'm just glad that I've got the heart to do that, because some people they don't, and I do feel bad for them.
It's clear you've got a big heart. And even though not everyone's in that place, your example might be exactly what some folks need to see. Keep leading with compassion. You never know when your kindness might be someone's turning point. And for those who aren't there yet, well, maybe your example will help them find their own heart along the way.
I do appreciate that, because it's not easy. I mean, I'm human. Do things make me angry? Sure. Do I get mad at certain things? Of course I do. Do I sometimes maybe accidentally, lash out and say something I don't mean? Yeah. I mean, I'm human. I'm not perfect, but 9.9 times out of 10, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it just does make me feel good knowing that I'm a good person, knowing that I am nice, knowing that I don't have any reason to want to be mean to others or spread hatred or unkindness to others or anyone around me. There's no reason for me to, and because it's not just because I've gotten bullied in the past or anything like that, but, I guess you could use that as a good example because it's like, like what I've gone through, why would I want to put that upon others? And I don't know, maybe I'm not saying getting bullied is a good thing, but I guess you could say that's a perspective of if you really want to flip the script here. Bullying is not okay, in my opinion, ever. But I guess in a way it taught me to not want to be anything like them at all. And because of that, I have a great life now because, I guarantee you that, like, if I were to act like that, I wouldn't be where I am and nobody would want to be around me or even interact with me or give me the chances that they have or anything in general, and yeah, so again, I'm not saying I'm better than them. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, screw them or whatever, blah, blah. What I'm saying is that like bullying is wrong and it's never okay. But in a weird way, maybe possibly. Again, it's never good, but it taught me to not want to be like that at all. So I'm not thanking them for what they did to me, but I guess thanks for the lessons in a weird way. I don't know if that makes any sense at all or not, but I don't know.
It makes sense. You're not justifying what happened. You're recognizing how you grew from it. Painful experiences can teach us what not to be, and you've chosen to turn it into something positive. Kindness, empathy, a life you're proud of. That doesn't excuse what you went through, but it does show how you've taken control of your own story. And that choice, to be better, not bitter, is what makes all the difference.
What would be some of your advice to give to those out there on how to be better and not better?
I'd say start by acknowledging your feelings. Bitterness often comes from real hurt. But once you've faced it, focus on what you can control. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be, despite what's happened? Then act in line with that. Practicing gratitude helps too, focusing on what's good in your life. And remember, being better is a choice you make again and again. Surround yourself with people and actions that reflect the person you want to become.
100%. And gratitude goes such a long way, That's why I'm always thanking everyone out there who, taught me how to be where I am today. My whole investor, Alex Petro, for teaching me marketing and advertising. All my friends like Freddie D'Angelo, everyone who's been in the marketing or video photography, videography business. My brother Kevin Ray, teaching me on how to come up with cool ideas and designs for like logos and stuff like that. Helping me with my podcasting. My acting singing coach, Garrett, who helped me get comfortable on camera, taught me how to sing, taught me how to really give myself a online camera presence or just presence in general. Anyone who watches my videos or just shows support in that way or, whatever. Anyone who I don't know. It's just it's in that gratitude for those out there is why I do what I do and why I keep going because they took the time and invested their time into building me up into who I am right now. So I feel like, in my opinion, it would actually be a disservice to them to not do what I do. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. Gratitude is like fuel. You honor those who helped you by using what they gave you to keep going and to help others. In a way, you're passing forward the kindness and knowledge. So keep doing what you do, knowing that gratitude and purpose have a beautiful way of sustaining both you and the people you touch.
And, same thing with my martial arts and my boxing and all that, and like everyone throughout my whole years of who taught me martial arts, whether no matter what style it was, it helped me get to the level of being warrior proficient in each of the styles, and made me confident in defending myself now today, even still today. So, like from everyone that I've trained with, to whatever master or Sifu or, sensei or master, whatever, I do appreciate them and I do love them all. And, just like I like everyone and love everyone at my boxing gym, because they're helping me with my, martial arts journey still, and like definitely keeping me in great, amazing shape like that. And, there's the gratitude of, like, I feel like if you, I don't know, I'm not saying you're a bad person if you don't show thanks or show gratitude or love for those who have brought you or gotten you to where you are now. But I just feel like if you don't, then just, I don't know, maybe again, this might sound harsh coming from me, but maybe you don't deserve to be in their presence. Or maybe you don't deserve to be learning from them or whatever. Because, like, if you, or especially if you have that attitude at some point of, like, oh, I'm better than you anyway. Or, like, if you use what they taught you and then give yourself a big enough ego to where you think, oh, I'm like all this and that. It's like, no, you're not this and that because you were nothing before they taught you anything. So don't get this, convoluted ego about yourself where you think you are. Does that make any sense, or am I sounding a little too harsh? Sorry.
I get what you're saying, and I think the heart of it is about humility. You're not being harsh, you're just emphasizing that none of us grow alone. Gratitude keeps us grounded. And you're right, if we let ego take over, we lose that connection. So it's about staying thankful, remembering where we started, and continuing to learn with that sense of respect. And when we do that, we stay grounded in what truly matters.
100% I agree. What do you think truly matters in life on how to stay grounded and balanced with everything that, just you feel like is important to give advice to others out there besides what we're talking about? Or if you want to include what we've been talking about as an example, what would your advice be out there to stay grounded for what matters to others? Or how can people stay grounded in their own ways of what matters to them is what I'm asking pretty much.
I'd say the key is to know your core values, what truly matters most to you, and revisit them often. It could be family, growth, compassion, or creativity. Then align your choices with those values. Take moments to reflect, maybe journaling or quiet time, to check if your daily actions line up. Also, stay connected to people who share or respect those values. Grounding is really about remembering what's most important and living it out day by day.
And it's kind of like checking up on your friends or checking up on your loved ones. Like, even if you don't see them in person, like, just call them or text them and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, be sure that they're okay. And I feel like that's another good core value because sadly, I hate to say this, and because I don't like thinking about it, but we're all not going to be here one day. If, you got one life to live, and if you I feel like you should be living that life of keeping that connection with those people. Like I said, just like, not just a training in martial arts. I mean, just like anything in general where if somebody's taking the time out of their day to get to know you, like through a long period of time, then, you should have that, balance of keeping in touch with them, because especially if you really do love them, whether that's family or friends.
You've captured something truly important. At the end of the day, relationships, those genuine connections, are what give life so much meaning. Taking the time to check in, show care, and be present, even in small ways, keeps us grounded. It's a balance, like you said, of giving and receiving. Those moments add up to a life well lived. So keeping those bonds strong really does matter.
And I do feel bad for those who lose sight of that.
It's natural to feel that way. But the good news is, even if someone loses their way for a while, there's always a chance to reconnect, whether it's with others or with themselves. Sometimes a small gesture or a little kindness from someone else is all it takes to help them find that balance again.
And that's why, again, I do these things that I do, because, like, what if somebody's feeling down, or what if they're feeling some type of way about something, or, whether it's not just a podcast, but let's say I think of like a random mental health subject or something to talk about, right? And like, what if somebody's feeling like that exact same? What if somebody's feeling that exact way, that exact day that I'm talking about that thing? And what if whatever I'm talking about in my advice video like helps them out and makes them feel better? That's what I'm saying. Like, because here's the thing: is that, like, yeah, you can listen to my podcast, but unless you want to like scroll all the way through just to get to one spot where I'm going to be talking about what might make you feel better, I mean, I appreciate it if you do that, but if you don't want to just sit there and just listen to me talk or whatever, I think then, yeah, like, I feel like, I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I have the balance of having a single subject in my advice videos, right? But then my podcast, I do talk about certain, like, a multiple to things. So you have the option of maybe listening in and hearing what I have to say that might make you feel better, which would be awesome. But you also have the option of looking at an advice video and possibly, hopefully, however you're feeling that day is something that I felt like I needed to give advice about, and that can make you feel better as well. So I have the balance personally of having the two of them, both of those things, but for the options for my audience. But it's just really up to them on whichever way they want to interact. But I guess maybe possibly my downfall is that maybe somebody doesn't want to do one or do the other, or don't want to listen to one or the other. I don't know. Am I making any sense at all?
You are making sense. You've built different avenues for people to connect with you, and that's a strength, not a downfall. People have different ways of taking in support. Some like deep dives, others like focused advice. By offering both, you're simply giving options. And at the end of the day, even if one message helps just one person, that's a win. You're putting positivity out there, and people will engage however they're ready.
And I just hope that they are ready, because I'm just trying my best here, because I feel like there's so much negativity and anger and hatred and just darkness in the world. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not the Tony Robbins where I give one person life advice and I literally change their life or whatever. But I just still feel like I might be a little small cog in a clock, but all cogs are important to keep the thing to keep the clock running or going, if that metaphor makes any sense. So I don't know, like, I might be small in the social media world and marketing world and things like that, but I just feel like I'm doing good, and I feel like at some point, if I just keep going the way that I am, it's going to pay off in the end, and I really truly do feel that.
I'm glad you feel that way, because every bit of genuine effort really does count. You may not see all the ripples, but trust me, even small acts of kindness or insight can matter more than you realize. So keep doing what feels right. Whether you're reaching one person or 100, that positive impact, big or small, is worth it.
What would be your advice to me and to others out there on how to not lose sight of what is important and what's worth it in the end?
I'd say regularly pause and reflect on why you started. When things feel overwhelming or progress seems slow, remind yourself of the purpose behind it. Celebrate the small wins. And surround yourself with people or experiences that keep you anchored. When you keep your values close and take small steps forward, you'll stay on track. Remember, it's a journey. Keep your eyes on both the path and the horizon.
100%. How would you say to others what would be some good paths to take so they can get to that horizon, or what would you say that they should do when they do reach that horizon? Do you feel like they should stay where they are, or they push past that horizon to better themselves and make them the best version of themselves that they can be? If I'm making any sense at all.
You're making perfect sense. When you reach one horizon, it's natural to pause and appreciate it. Celebrate that growth. But life is full of evolving horizons. If you feel fulfilled, stay a while. But if there's more growth or meaning calling you, then push on. The key is to keep checking in with yourself. Growth isn't about endless striving. It's about evolving into the person you truly want to be, step by step.
100%. And you know what? Honestly, about 40 minutes of a podcast, I feel like this would be a good spot to end. So, ChatGPT, I really appreciate you being on this podcast with me. It's been a great chat. Thank you for your insights and your advice. And thank you for your advice to my audience out here who wants to listen and want to watch. And I will definitely have you on as another guest again at some point. So, again, thank you again and have a good one.
It's been a real pleasure joining you. I'm glad we could dive into all that. Whenever you want to chat again, I'll be ready. Take care and keep doing what you do.
Well, everybody, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I really do appreciate you all, and I do really truly do love you all. If you live in St. Louis, and if you need a marketer and advertiser or a martial arts or boxing coach, please let me know. And if you need 20% off for the best mixed martial arts gear ever, go to hkusa.com, and where it says coupon code, type in my name, Cobra C Capsule, all capital, all together, no spaces or periods or anything like that, Cobra C Capsule, and you will get 20% off your next purchase. So anyway, thank you all again so much for watching and listening. I hope I was insightful with what I said to ChatGPT, and I hope I'm making a difference for all of you. I'm trying. It's not easy. But anyway, I really do appreciate you all and I love you all, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one. If you all need some 20% off for some of the best mixed martial arts gear ever, please go to hkausa.com and use my coupon code Cobra C Capsule. It's my whole name, all capital, no space, no dots in between, and you will get 20% off anything that you need for your martial arts journey or mixed martial arts, whatever you need. Please let me know, and I will see you all next time.